This newest update just changed everything for Metroid Prime 4, and let me explain why, because I get that it sounds like an overstatement on the surface, but there has been a big growing fear online that Nintendo would somehow totally drop the ball on marketing this game, and while there's no direct in sight, what I believe we saw in this newest trailer is the official kickoff and campaign for the marketing season leading into Metroid Prime 4, and this one, in my opinion, does a lot to hype up this game and make it look like the exciting masterpiece of an adventure that I think lifelong Metroid fans and Metroid Prime fans know to expect with this one, but you have to get a broader audience attracted into this title, and Nintendo, in my opinion, did it with this trailer. So I do want to first take a look at the entire trailer uninterrupted, let you guys experience it firsthand in case you've somehow missed it, and then I want to go essentially frame by frame and talk about any of the new details that have been spotted and noticed here, in addition to some upgrades from prior trailers and a more clear picture of what we can expect from Samus, at least at the beginning hours of her adventure, because I do believe that while we see some areas that are a little bit later, a lot of these are very early on into the game, and it doesn't seem like Nintendo's revealing too much as they have done in the past with certain games in the lead up to their launch. So we'll break down all of these details. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. There are timestamps down below for everything, and we will first kick it off with an uninterrupted look at the trailer in full. So one thing you're going to notice is just the pacing of that trailer. Like everything we've seen up to this point in time, while it has been exciting and it has shown us new details that we haven't learned about before of the game, it always kind of seemed like things were not just put together in the most efficient manner, and a lot of people were not getting really that fast-paced excitement feeling that you do with something like a Legend of Zelda and or a Mario game. But you know, if you're a lifelong Metroid fan, that a Prime game from the ground up, brand new, built for Switch and Switch 2, well, that's going to deliver that same tier of experience. And so I'm just overall a big fan of literally all the different environments they showed us at a moment's notice, how quick everything switches between different gameplay sections, and really just kind of driving home the point that you are going to feel threatened in this game. High intensity combat, action, lots of different exploring in vastly different environments, and that trailer does all of this, and it also makes it feel like Nintendo's really ready to market this thing with even some of the smooth transitions that we see at the end of the trailer closing out with the available date popping up. Like everything just looks so much better than what we've seen overall in terms of the presentation of this game from Nintendo up to this point in time. So that's already one thing that has me feeling a lot better as we go forward into this. Now, in terms of a more slowed down look at this trailer, the opening scenes are primarily scenes we have seen before up to this point in time, so we will not spend a whole lot of time here other than the fact that there is some noticeable visual changes to this opening scene that I will say is quite interesting, because there is a reoccurring theme with what we are seeing Samus step out of in this game. And in case you haven't seen any of his videos, friend of the channel Andre's Restart has done a fantastic job really theorizing a lot of different minute details of Prime 4 so far, and I am in agreement fully with his theory here that The portals, kind of what you see in the logo itself with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, it's signifying a portal, and we have seen so many different portals and so many different aspects of the game in terms of everything we've looked at so far, that I do believe that as we talk about Samus traversing into new areas for the first time, likely we are seeing her come out of a portal, and there is some kind of portal transport system that will take us to different planets, different areas, and different environments and stuff like that, even pointing to some rooms in official artwork that we've seen that look like they have multiple portals, maybe some kind of hub that connects many of them. I do think that that's what we are looking at here, and we get a better look at that than ever in this very small section of the trailer. Then we have a pan of these electrical energy generating type buildings, but you do have Samus also appearing to stand up. Probably this is literally our first intro into this area, and Samus could have dropped in from a portal above, very similar to what we've seen her do in other aspects of the trailer, and that is that initial, you are in a new world, this is the new environment that you're going to traverse. And then we immediately pan to Samus in a different suit, mind you, Viola suit, compared to she did not have it in that first frame, and she is in a large lava fire temple-esque environment, which is some really exciting contrast to see. And we then pan into something opening and looking straight at Samus in the Viola suit, and this could be some kind of item. It could potentially be the grapple beam, as we've seen that used on essentially what looks like the control panel behind her. And we quickly pan into these different sections, which are nice little touches of detail. I really like this, and some people may not think it's as big of a deal, but if you played previous Prime games, you don't see Samus's arm go up in reaction to things at all. And this is kind of like a really nice upgrade to the immersiveness of this game, in my opinion, because you do have her first in the very bright desert area, likely also just getting started in that area, kind of shielding some of the light and adjusting to the windy, dusty environment there, and probably the brighter light than what she had seen before. And we then see her go through that same animation with the icy bridges that we know are not very sturdy, because we've already seen that break off in part of a previous trailer. Then we go to a foresty area, very similar to ground we've seen Samus cover before, but with a very quick moving bug on the ground that does appear to be leaving a trail behind it. We next see Samus utilize her grapple beam to open an otherwise locked door. This is a very cool section where you do actually see Samus using her psychic ability to reveal invisible platforms that, I'm assuming if you didn't look at it with your psychic ability visor or just use your psychic ability to actually reveal those platforms, you're not going to be able to see them there. So some cool reminders of the tricky platforming and sometimes puzzle platforming that we have in Metroid Prime games. We then pan to a very quick look up from Samus with some beasts that are getting ready to attack her, in addition to getting a look at a wolf next in the snowy area, just kind of signifying that you're going to have multiple different enemies to deal with on screen all at once. You're going to be, you know, traversing these areas, and then at a certain point, Samus is going to be ambushed by a lot of different creatures, kind of seeing that happen back to back. Also getting a look at some new android looking creatures, which we will touch more on in a moment. The wolf circling around Samus, and a very up close look at the androids in question. Then a very up close look at a beast roaring, very reminiscent of the Lemorn when it comes to the head of this beast, which is also another theory we will touch on in a moment. A very nice look at Samus pointing her arm cannon in the Viola suit, kind of signifying that she's about to hop into combat. And then of course the next areas of the trailer, we get a look at all of those different beasts that we saw on screen and androids actually in combat. What is really interesting, and a detail that they do confirm, is actually the android side of things is what's called a mechanoid Cybot soldier. And the exact description reads, when Samus scans it, basic model of a Lemorn-made Cybot battle android. And what is interesting about that is, you might remember from the Nintendo Dream magazine revealed to us from Necro Felipe, there were some questions about the Lemorn actually being on Samus's side or being something of a threat. And if we are seeing Lemorn-made machines, it definitely implies that if not all Lemorn, some Lemorn are definitely a threat to us, and we do not and cannot trust the race entirely, as they're definitely not all allies if those machines are attacking us and they were the ones that made them. We then get a quick look at the boss Abarax that we have actually seen before in the Treehouse gameplay, and Samus essentially using her morph ball as kind of a dodge mechanic to get out of the way there. Then we have her essentially coming out of morph ball mode in the next scene, and it does quickly pan back to her first person view. So we do see that in full, just how seamless it is for her to back away and also go right back to the visor view after getting out of that morph ball. And these also reminiscent of Lemorne type of creatures that are in the icy environment with snow covered walls and all of the details looking very nice here. Now we next get to the bike Viola, and this is a divisive topic online. I think that this bike gameplay is just fine, and I'm actually excited for it at this point. I do get the concern that if they don't pull it off right, or it feels tacked on and not like Samus's core movement, that it can kind of take away from some of the immersion. It all looks good to me, and it just is going to be cool to move around really open environments at a fast pace. And so I'm here for the bike personally, and I think that this trailer did a lot to make it look cooler than ever. But we of course see Samus speed right off through a tunnel that does continue to open up as Samus gets further on into it. We then see some more desert combat into then a sideways slide and almost what looks like a cutscene moment of you maybe getting off the bike as Samus. That is very much on the table. And finally, Sylix levitating down from the sky, definitely driving home the point that we are going to have to worry about Sylix and what's going on there from a story perspective. And I do actually want to take you guys back a little bit earlier in the trailer, because I realized it slipped my mind until now, but there is some talk online that what I referred to as the bug creature going by may indeed be a reference to Metroid Prime hunters, with some calling into question that it looks very similar to a hunter named Candon in larva form. And forgive my ignorance on this, I am not super familiar with Metroid Prime hunters, and so that may or may not be a theory that does pan out, but I did see a number of people making that assumption online. It's also not clear to me that that's by any means confirmed, but could we have more hunters than Sylix to worry about? That would be a very cool detail to learn about later. But yes, overall, this trailer for me, it proves that Nintendo is not just dropping the ball in marketing. Now, I do want to briefly discuss what, if anything, this means for the likelihood now of a future Direct. And I would say that it is not any more or less likely, other than the fact it's getting slightly less likely by the week that we go by without having any kind of Direct announced for Metroid Prime 4 specific. But I do think that while I would love to see a dedicated Metroid Prime 4 Direct and believe that it 100% deserves it, I also could see Nintendo not opting for that kind of presentation and giving us some more quick look trailers like this in the lead up to the game's launch. And ultimately, we will have a long overview trailer, almost something like Drag X Drive style, where you see like an 8-minute look at uninterrupted gameplay and some explanations of what's going on in the game. I don't know that they'll do a dedicated Direct. I think that that longer overview trailer would be one way they could get around that kind of and still deliver the information of the game that we really want to see leading into it. And obviously, when it's right at launch time, we will get a final launch trailer for the game that does string together some more quick snippets of gameplay and likely some new looks at it as well. But listen, this changed the tone for me personally for Prime 4 from Nintendo, that is, and I think it is very much headed in the right direction from here. I am hopeful for a full dedicated Nintendo Direct. I also don't think the game has to have one, although it would be nice if it did. I'm also more worried for the fact that we probably are not getting Prime 2 and 3 the longer that we go without any kind of Direct announcement. So for the time being, I'm setting my expectations on just revisiting those when they hit NSO, or maybe get a more individual remaster on a broader scale at some point in the far distant future. But for now, Prime 4 is right around the corner, legitimately under a month away at the time that this video is going live, which is crazy to say out loud. So let me know in the comments down below where your hype levels now fall for this game in relation to the recent trailer that went live for it. Are you any more or less hyped for it either way? Do you think that Nintendo will indeed hold some kind of Metroid Prime 4 dedicated Direct, or do you think that ship has now sailed? And in light of this trailer, what do you think of the overall marketing and communication job from Nintendo when it comes to launching Prime 4 as a whole? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.